Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I want to talk about the most important thing, something you should never forget when it comes to power building, muscle building, and strength building. Before I get into that topic, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. The best topic ideas I turn into videos just like this. All right, so a couple days ago, I put out a video on stimulus versus fatigue and got some interesting discussion, but I wanted to return everybody to the basics. I wanted to return everybody to the thing that's most important. There are so many discussions out there, so many discussions on topics like this, and they're interesting. It's nice to look at the science. It's nice to explore new ways of looking at muscle building, new ways of looking at workouts. But the reality is, for 95% of the people that I come across, and this number might even be higher, all these discussions like this really don't matter to them, because most people are struggling with the basics. And I talk about the basics a lot because they are important to 95% of us. A lot of times the 5% that are having great results will jump in and talk about how they tried this, that, and the other thing, and it has value to them, and I have no doubt it does, and I would never discount that, and by all means, try things, go for it, etc. But I want to remind you guys, as you move forward, that all this noise that infiltrates your life, your brain, and I call it noise, not being disrespectful to the principles, because the principles may or may not have validity, but when you are focusing on muscle building, when you are focusing on strength building, and you go on YouTube and you read articles and you hear opinions on social media, all this stuff is infiltrating your brain. It's getting into your brain and it's confusing you. And confusion is probably the biggest issue that we face when it comes to reaching our goals, because we start to hear opinions on this, that, and the other thing, and we try to piece all this stuff together in a way that makes sense, in a way that we can process it. And the reality is, it's not meant to be, you're not meant to do that. You don't have to do it. You're not meant to wake up and process and try to filter 1,000 different variables and figure out how to piece them together into a puzzle that makes sense. You're not meant to do that. You need to set the complexity aside and return to the basics. And that is why I preach the basics. You need just to focus on the basics until you wake up one day, look in the mirror, say, man, I'm pretty darn, I'm on a roll. I'm pretty darn big. I'm pretty darn strong compared to where I used to be. I'm on a roll. Now that I've mastered the basics, now that I understand the basics, now maybe I can put in a little bit of variable, try a little variable here and there to see if I can increase, or see if I can, see if that's more suitable for me. See if I like doing that. See if that has value to my training. All this noise that is confusing you, all the noise that is out there just pounding relentlessly on your brain and your psyche and confusing, the living fuck out of you. It's something you don't need to worry about. You simply don't need to worry about. And that is the point I want to make in this video. Invariably, when I talk about the basics, people are going to ask, what are the basics? The basics are rather simple. Consistency in training. Stop missing workouts. And this is going to seem redundant to you guys that watch my videos a lot, but look, consistency in training. How many people I come across that aren't consistent 365 days a year? That doesn't mean they're training 365 days a year, but that means they don't miss workouts unless they're sick or something is going on. You need that. You also need consistency in nutrition, and this is a huge one. I can't tell you how many people that come to me for advice, come to me for counseling, come to me for coaching, that don't want to or aren't setting a goal each day for nutrition, for calorie intake and protein intake. You need a goal relative to what you are trying to achieve. You are trying to achieve something very specific, right? If you were just a runner, you wouldn't need specific nutrition per se. Yes, you would need healthy nutrition. You would need a reasonable amount of protein intake, etc. But for muscle building, you need you're looking at adding weight, right? You're looking at adding weight and you're looking at building muscle, not just fat weight. So you need some sort of regulation. You need calorie intake to be monitored to some degree, and you need protein intake, consistency in nutrition. So we got those nailed down. Once you go into the gym, what's next? What are the basics? A reasonable focus on compound movements. You have basic movement planes, right? You have horizontal push and horizontal pull or row. The bench press, the push up, the barbell row, seated cable row. You have vertical press, which is military press, push press, dumbbell overhead press, and vertical pull, which is the pull up, lat pull down, etc. You have those movement planes. So you need a compound movement for each of those. The bench press, the military press, the barbell row, the pull up, etc. So you need a reasonable focus on compound movements. Other movement patterns: the hinge, deadlift, and the squat. So those are two important movement patterns as well. Beyond that, you need a reasonable amount of volume. What is a reasonable amount of volume? About 15 to 18 sets per workout, and that's just a general range, but these sets are hard sets. They're something that have a focus and a point, and leading us to the next point, the next basic pillar is progression. Every single workout needs a goal. What is your progression scheme? What is the goal of this workout? If you enter the gym and you have no idea what your progression approach is, what your goal is for the day, you're just fucking around. You are not in the place where you want to be. You need that reasonable focus on compound movements. You need a focus on, or you need a reasonable amount of volume. You need a progression approach. You need some goal for that day. You need some focus. If not, you really got to find one. So compound movements, a reasonable amount of volume, and progressive overload. That is basically about it. You can add in things like, block sets or rest pause work or pump work if you want at the end. I like that. But if you have these things in place, consistency in training, consistency in nutrition, a reasonable amount of volume, a reasonable focus on compound movements and progressive overload, and you apply this over time and you don't quit on yourself. You don't quit on yourself when things get difficult or things feel heavy. You're going to get to where you need. So there you have it. So beyond this stuff, you need to take this stuff and you need to ride it hard. What program you have it in doesn't really matter as long as you are riding this hard. And all the other stuff that comes that tries to infiltrate your brain, for 95% of us, we don't need to worry about that. We do not need to worry about that. We need to ride the basics, master the basics, get our exercise form down, and then when we are in a good place, then we can start to play around with other variables to see if they fit our training style, etc. So guys, hope this video has been of some help. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. If you made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. I'd appreciate the support. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.